Since most already basics, such as the New World Order, which is centralised control under a one-world government, I won't dwell on that. Instead, I'll give you yet another example of them telling you what I imagine most of you know by now themselves, and for the most part before it happened. Steve Jackson's card game, Illuminati, a game of conspiracy, was released in 1995 and documents, card by card, what they are doing, have done and plan to do, including the false left-right paradigm, fluoride in the water, mind control, the chip, subliminals, control the media, New World Order, military-industrial complex, and of course the attack on the Twin Towers. Final goal of the game is world domination. Now, if you want to know more about this, check out HollywoodInsiders.net, and you'll find the film Dark Stars there, which I'm about to play a clip from.
This is Steve Jackson's card game, Illuminati, the game of conspiracy. From beginning to end, this deck reeks of insider info. The final goal of the game is, yep, you guessed it, none other than world domination, naturally. The sheer outlandishness of some of the cards desensitizes those outside of the know, but a deeper look reveals that there's not a single card in the deck that hasn't happened, isn't happening, or won't happen. Most of the cards depict a sinister brand of humor mixed in with knowledge of a deep insider, but we can't rule out the paranormal in this case. Steve Jackson, the game's creator, dabbles in magic. Steve Jackson, founder of Steve Jackson Games, owned a spin-off company called Illuminati Online, which eventually became a website hosting company whose servers were based in Austin, Texas. In 1990, the Secret Service raided Illuminati Online and ran off with their servers. After losing the case in federal court, the Secret Service was forced to return the servers and pay Illuminati Online $50,000. Then, in 1999, Wired magazine reports that a group of hackers broke into campaign website of then presidential hopeful George W. Bush, only to find out that George's website was hosted by none other than Steve Jackson's Illuminati Online.
The goals of the Illuminati are the new man under the control of the New World Order, and the new man is what humanity will become after the jump from polarity to oneness. We will make man in our image. Basically, this means connected via our third eyes to the Antichrist consciousness and at one with it. Albert Pike says it best. The sun and the moon represent the two grand principles, the male and female. Both shed their light upon the offspring, or the blazing star, or Horus. Since the fall from the Garden of Eden, which is oneness with Christ consciousness, the Antichrist consciousness and those that are of it have carefully and meticulously crafted and designed the reality around us to serve their agenda of making us a part of the very same negative energy that they are. Basically, to change us slowly into what they are, like a vampire who comes to feed from you every night until you eventually die and are reborn a vampire yourself. They have throughout the centuries socially engineered us and broken our will, tearing us away from love, and in its place we have rigidity. We have religion based on ritualistic worship, the hate of one religion by another, the hate of one colour, creed, ethnicity or gender by another, the religion of mainstream science and academia, an education system that stifles creativity and encourages conformity, blind repetition of lies and distorted facts, and the manipulation and shaping of our moral consensus. And that's just getting started. Originally, we were given rules and commandments that, had we never been torn away from oneness with Christ consciousness in the first place, we would not need. So, the commandments make sense, of course, but instead of not doing what the commandments say we shouldn't do out of love, we are taught to follow out of fear, creating a rigid and tiresome routine. This is very clever, as creative beings like ourselves will eventually grow bored and even resentful of such repetitive behaviour. Scepticism sets in, and many throw the baby out with the bathwater, dismissing it all as mind control. They deliberately started introducing science that contradicts this religion until eventually that became a religion in and of itself. And since they have spent such a long time breaking our will, it would all seem so right when evil then comes in the name of the very thing that it tore us away from in the first place. Love. Love and unity with the all, and offers us our willpower back. Love under will, do what thou wilt, should be the whole of the law. How appropriate. Without a connection to love, we have subconsciously yearned for it, back since the fall into duality, and unfortunately, we live in a world where evil has crafted our idea of what love is, and what is good, and what is bad, and the yin and the yang. So, when they slowly begin to introduce us back to the idea of opening the third eye or pineal gland, they'll do it under the false pretense that there is no good and evil, neglecting to mention the dualistic positive and negative nature of higher consciousness. They will feed us directly into the negative Antichrist beast, pulling us out of the grey area, symbolised by the number 10, and into the belly of the beast itself, symbolised by the number 11. And by the way, the Christ consciousness is number 11 as well. There are two 11s. Each one this is symbolised by an 11, and I'll get to that later on. So basically, from duality to oneness, but with evil in their case. The Ion of Horus, the Age of Aquarius, the New Atlantis, the Garden of Eden, Oz, whatever you want to call it, that's your prerogative, but it is the very same thing. Oneness. The 1968 film, 2001 Space Odyssey, was directed by Stanley Kubrick and written by Arthur C. Clarke, and is about the evolution of human consciousness. The evolution happens when a character from the film comes across a black monolith, which turns out to be a Stargate. The black monolith also features earlier in the film in a scene called the Dawn of Man, where a tribe of apes comes across it and it acts as a catalyst in the evolution of apes into the human race. So, once again, the black monolith is a Stargate to higher consciousness. The film is called 2001. Of all possible years chosen for the title, 2001, the year the 9/11 Stargate to higher consciousness was activated, is the title of the film. Interestingly enough, Kubrick, who of course wrote and directed the film, died exactly 666 days before the year 2001. Arthur C. Clarke, who wrote the novel that this movie is based on, wrote another novel in 1972 called Rendezvous with Rama, which makes reference to an asteroid colliding with Earth on September 11th, 2077. The book features a giant cylinder alien spaceship that has a cylindrical sill wrapped around it with an island that the astronauts named New York. Returning to the subject of 2001 Space Odyssey and the Black Monolith, if you somehow don't believe by now that 9/11 was a Stargate ritual, then this should be the clincher. Now, if you've seen Jake Cotz's videos, you probably know where I'm going with this, but the Millennium Hilton Hotel stood adjacent to where the Twin Towers stood. And the hotel is a high-rise black glass building which, according to the Hilton's own website, pays homage to Arthur C. Clarke's vision of the monolith in a 2001 Space Odyssey. What's more, in Arthur C. Clarke's novel, the monolith is on the planet Saturn, and as we discovered earlier, the ancient mystery schools had a 7-rung system for achieving higher consciousness, and the 7th rung was ruled over by the planet Saturn. This system was designed, as I said, to obtain higher consciousness. So, somebody or something is definitely in the know when it comes to the 2001 Space Odyssey. Knowing all this, we can begin to discern a few things and explore further the ritualistic events of 9/11. Like we, as individuals, have chakras and energy lines within us, which is how acupuncture works, so too does the planet. Due to the holographic nature of the universe, every part contains the whole, or as above, so below. With acupuncture, placing needles in one area of the body can affect another seemingly unrelated area. And since the energy lines can be utilised in this way, it seems logical enough that the energy lines around our world, or ley lines, would work the same way. Just as this method can be used for positive and healing purposes, it can also be used for negative purposes, such as the vampirism of energy. In the human body, needles are used, and whereas on our planet, strategically placed landmarks such as pyramids and various different buildings and obelisks are used. These landmarks are currently being used by the elites, or the Antichrist consciousness, for negative purposes. Ley lines are absolutely everywhere. Some are more powerful and significant than others, and when ley lines cross, vortexes are created. When more than two cross, or all intersect at one point, such as the many lines that intersect at the Bermuda Triangle, even bigger vortexes are created, and when a massive amount of lines all intersect, the biggest vortexes of all are created, and these are Earth's natural stargates. It is said that these stargates act as doorways for entities travelling from place to place or from one dimension to another. The stargates on Earth and the stargates within the human being, the third eye, are serving much the same purpose. With the human being, an entity can enter you and use you as a kind of vehicle to travel about in. You might also call that possession. With Earth stargates, entities can enter our dimension without a human vehicle, and it stands to reason that if the ley lines are being used to channel negative energy, then it will be negative vibrating dimensions that these stargates are open to. Same can be said about us. If we're vibrating on a negative level, and our stargates or pineal gland will be open for negative entities. Interestingly, the level that you're vibrating on can literally alter your DNA and genetic makeup altogether. When it comes to ley lines, perhaps one of the most significant examples would be the alignment of 5 American cities dating back to the era of the Revolutionary War. Washington DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City and Boston. This ley line continues northeast across the Atlantic Ocean into England and directly through Stonehenge. Furthermore, the ley line in question, linking these 5 cities with Stonehenge, as according to this map that pinpoints roughly where the ley lines are, a massive vortex or stargate where a colossal amount of lines all intersect. This stargate is located roughly to be in the District of Columbia in the Arlington, Virginia area, smack bang where the Pentagon lies. This area is aligned also with New York City, home of the former twin towers of Jacques and Boas, also known as the Gate to Arlington's Star, or the Pentagon. The stargate I've pointed out lies on the 77th meridian west, and this meridian is revered as a sacred area and is referred to as God's longitude amongst the Illuminated fraternities. The early expedition of Sir Walter Raleigh, known for the lost colony of Roanoke, was in all likelihood not the failure it was alleged to have been. Raleigh was involved in the colonisation of the New World in Virginia under a royal patent. If all through the book Mark in Time is correct, Raleigh's true purpose may not have been to establish a colony, but to capture God's longitude by locating the 77th meridian. Raleigh himself was a member of Sir Francis Bacon's secret society, whose members were dedicated to bringing about a new golden age or Atlantis, and therefore would have been well versed in these matters. The Rosicrucians and the Freemasons were amongst some of the first over to the New World. Here are a list of places the 77th meridian passes through in America: New York, home of the Gate; Pennsylvania, Maryland, the District of Columbia; Virginia, home of the Star or Pentagon; and North Carolina. This means the stargate in the DC area is on the 77th meridian. The number 77 is of course the number of Pan or Oz, and the Pentagon is a symbol of pentagram energy, with Aleister Crowley equating the letter A in between P and N with the pentagram energy, making it Pan. New York is the former home of the towers and can be seen as Oz. New York and the Pentagon are directly linked to each other via the ley line that connects directly into the stargate in the DC area by the 77th meridian, which is seen to be, like I said, sacred. As far as the exact location of stargates and whether or not beings are coming through them goes, you can make up your own mind. However, there are some interesting factors to take into account from the day of 9/11.